Welcome to RFI's Banking Uncovered, the podcast going behind the industry PR, the media spin, the product awards, and the investor reports to look at what's really going on in the customer data, and to ask global thought leaders about their thoughts and views on the future of banking and payments.
Hi everyone, Mark Donohue here, Managing Director of iSky at RFI and founder of iSky Research. Your host also today for Banking Uncovered. And with me, it's a pleasure to have Jorge Camargo. And thank you for joining us, Jorge.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. So we're here in California and it's great to be able to meet and visit with you here at Bank of America. Can you just tell us a little bit about your role at the bank and what it is you're focused on?
Absolutely. I have the privilege of leading our digital platforms team. So essentially what we are doing is we are helping build our consumer-facing digital experiences for Bank of America. So it's a fantastic opportunity to really be an advocate for our clients and how they get to engage and experience Bank of America through digital channels.
Fantastic. And so digital, I mean, it's the cornerstone of just about every bank these days. If we look back, say, 5 or so years and think about the ways in which customers' expectations have changed or evolved over that time. I mean, what do you see as being the most significant changes and perhaps the changes in particular of the expectation of the customer around what it is that they're getting out of digital?
Absolutely, and you can even widen that lens further to the past 25 years or so, right? And one of the best parts of our job here is we have this fantastic experience design team, and they're able to really conduct in-depth research, both with our clients, with prospects, and for digital in general. And what they've kind of come back with is a really interesting model to think about digital. They think of our clients that are engaging with a financial institution in terms of their monitoring. So they're checking in on balances, transactions, alerts. Then they're managing, so they're actively paying bills, conducting a service request. And then they optimize, like they're trying to engage in like longer range planning. So what's been fascinating, back to your prompt, is the first generation of digital solutions, right? Think of websites, think of like your digital statements. We're all about just monitoring, right? Like, let me just check in, see these things that are happening, but still the core of my banking would still take place in a financial center or with a banker. With mobile, that started changing. Now with mobile, we're able to do more things ourselves, conduct all these transactions on the go. And then what we see as the next generation of opportunity is this focus on optimizing. So the client is very seamlessly moving through, I'm able to monitor, now I'm able to manage, now what else can I do?
And so to that theme then, knowing that digital is becoming, I mean, really the focus, the channel for most of our consumers today, how do you see trust in particular evolving in that landscape? I mean, again, as the customer is beginning or continuing to do more and more of their day-to-day activity, how do we ensure that trust is still at the core of what we're offering to the customer? Yeah,
trust is at the core of banking, and whether that's digital banking or offline banking, that's the core driver for all of our customers. And obviously from a digital perspective, we want to make sure that continues to carry over. The fascinating stat that I have that I've learned since I've been here is that you add up all of the interactions that our clients have from physical touch points, right? You call, you visit, you go to an ATM, right? That's about 6% of all interactions that people have with the bank. The other 94% are taking place through a digital self-service channel, which is just mind-blowing, right? That's how clients interact. That's how clients experience the bank. So in a sense, it's like voting with your feet. Of like clients trust these channels now. They trust them so much that, again, 94% of those interactions with the bank are taking place through the digital channel. And of course, every day, every new capability we have, every day that we see clients logging in to our digital properties, it's a new test of that trust, right? Are we available? Are things working? Are we answering the question that they need through digital channels? So that's really, again, trust is at the center of what we do in digital.
And so we're seeing at the same time, of course, the volume of interaction and the volume of journeys that customers can undertake in these digital channels that we afford to them they're increasing. I mean, they're increasing almost every day. How do you as a business in particular strike a balance between that depth of self-service functionality that we want to give to the customer, but at the same time seeking to maintain a simplicity in the user experience and not overwhelming customers as they get into those channels?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the funniest thing is like I'm accountable for digital platforms, and even I sometimes am discovering new features. I'm like, oh wait, the app does that, or you can do that self-service. That's super cool. But what was interesting is that was a little of the eureka moment that led us to the creation of Erica, our AI virtual assistant. It's essentially like a concierge. And the mission for Erica, when we started building 10 years ago and launched 8 years ago, was the simple notion of like, find the fastest path to the answer I need. Help me navigate that bank. It's that concierge service when you walk in, it's like, I want to do this, right? Help me find out like what's the fastest path and maybe the most efficient path, right? Maybe it's what we call a high-tech interaction, self-service through digital, or is it a high-touch interaction? Let me schedule an appointment, let me call in, let me do maybe like a chat while I'm on the phone. So it's all about helping kind of clients navigate the bank and navigate what they want to do, translate that into what's that fastest and most seamless journey. And it's been very successful. Like again, clients engage with Erica. They've engaged with Erica over 3.5 billion times since we launched, which is a pretty significant number. And what clients tell us is like, yeah, I like starting my journey with just asking Erica, and then I don't have to like go through a bunch of menus or try to remember where do I do this. I just start there. I know I'm directed, and then if I ever needed to speak to a human, I have that off ramp to go talk to an associate.
Yeah. I've heard you speak in the past about the tens of thousands of changes that you've made to Erica over the course of the time that you've had it implemented. And you know, we're in this era of technology when A, it's changing so quickly, but B, generative AI, conversational interfacing. I mean, we're here in San Francisco, we see cars driving around without people at the wheel. What do you see as the expectations, not only for the business, but also for the customer in that conversational interface, and in particular the Erica environment in the years ahead?
Yeah, the expectations just keep growing day in and day out from our customers. Funniest anecdote, you mentioned the self-driving cars. I tell my 6-year-old, it's like, hey, this is the robot car. And he's like, okay, there's a robot car, fine. But then we get into the robot car itself, and he's like, where's the robot? I'm like, oh, sorry, I meant self-driving. But people adjust to technology and to the latest and greatest very, very quickly. And once they've adjusted, they start thinking about like, what's next? How could this be better? So that's the challenge that we're trying to solve for every day here. It's like we're standing on the shoulders of what our teammates have built over the past 10, 15 years, but we always want to make it better for clients. And clients are not shy about telling us, hey, this is how you can improve. This is where this answer could have been better. So you mentioned our platform intelligence team. They've been averaging 30 changes a day. Wow. Every day for the past 8 years. And the expectation is that that number is just going to continue to grow significantly as clients ask more, have more questions, and in turn give us more feedback about how their experience is going.
And so to that point, I mean, you've obviously been at the forefront of what Erica has been and what it's doing in the user experience. Where do you see AI broadly playing the most impactful role in the life of the Bank of America customer in the years ahead?
We continue to see technology as just an enabler, ultimately. Our corporate slogan is, what would you like the power to do, right? Ultimately, as a financial institution, we are here to help clients achieve those financial objectives or achieve those objectives that they have through financial means. So what we're trying to do, not just with digital and with Erica, but every solution that we put out there, is how can we serve that underlying purpose? Now, obviously, the technology is growing at a breakneck speed and breakneck pace, right? We always like to look again at that 20-year view when we started with a website that just had your statements, and then now your mobile phone, you can do anything you want, to now an assistant like Erica, which is essentially has the power and the knowledge of the bank at your fingertips. Now, what's interesting is Erica, we've come to learn that only 700 or 800 topics or so really cover 99% of the questions that we have. But we see an opportunity to continue to push the envelope on as the technology gets smarter. How can Erica also continue to become smarter to work on behalf of the client and to work on behalf of the client 24/7, 365, right? Like what's happening in the background. Like a lot of the work that we've done with Erica, it started off being very reactive. Like you have a question, Erica's going to answer that question and we're done. To now, Erica doing probably 55% of our interactions are preemptive or proactive, which is, hey, monitor things in the background. Tell me something I don't know, or tell me something that might be important or of interest to me. That's where we see a lot of the evolution of this technology going, a lot of this proactive or preemptive banking, in which the client really comes to appreciate that there's an advocate in the background working on their behalf.
I want to come back to that point, particularly around customer learning and advancement of their knowledge around what's going on with their money. But before we do, just on the integration of AI into the business more broadly in the coming years, do you see there being more on the user experience side of things, more on the back-end systems, on the security side of things? Do you think there's a balance? Where do you see AIs playing the most impactful role in Bank of America in the years ahead?
I think across the board, again, the pace of innovation that we're seeing in the space over the past 3 years, ever since ChatGPT launched, but then also kind of the flood of investment that's coming to the space, just make us very, very bullish in terms of like the opportunities that exist. And our CTO has said several times, there's not just one group that's the group that gets to build AI. Rather, AI is a tool that everyone is going to have access to at every level of the organization. Everything from our day-to-day as associates to what we build for clients, to what we build for associates, to back-end workflow processes. Like there's tremendous opportunity across the board in all those spaces. And again, from our perspective, it's more about like how do we build in a way, at least from my lens, in a way that it's going to help our clients really benefit and in a way that we can really advocate for them.
Okay, and on that point of customer benefit, and to your point earlier about advice, we know from the research that we do that customers are increasingly wanting to get a guiding hand, some support from their institution, their financial services providers around how to better manage their money, how to be better at proactively building their money and building for the future. What do you think the most impactful ways that Bank of America can support customers in that endeavor going forward? And how do you see that evolution unfolding in the user experience that you offer to your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think from a client perspective, there's several areas of focus. The first one is this notion of your full financial picture, right? So today, your client Bank of America and several other financial institutions, being able to bring all of your different relationships into one place so you can see what's happening and get a holistic picture. That's one area that we hear our customers say loudly, is like, I need help with that. But then the second piece is this notion of, great, you're helping me do it myself today, right? Like you're taking me to a self-service capability, or you're telling me how to complete this task. The next generation is going to be, how do you do it for me? Or at least how do you reduce the level of effort that it takes on my part as the client? Because you, my financial institution, you know me, you know my transactions, my behavior. I've given you guideposts. How can you shorten that amount of work that needs to happen in the background? The analogy we always use internally is mobile check deposit, right? Again, it's a bit more data technology, but ultimately is, I don't have to drive to a financial center or even to an ATM. I can just take a picture of this check and be done with it. Great. So how do you apply that same lesson of reducing effort across the board for every single financial transaction? Either it's a new relationship, it's deepening, it's a service request. Like, how do I apply that lens of reducing effort and time to complete for the customer just to drive that convenience? So that's our guiding North Star here.
Okay, I mean, that's a program of work that just never ends, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It keeps on evolving. In that vein, I want to talk about security a little bit and security management, or the security experience for customers in the Bank of America digital landscape. We often see security as a sort of friction point, if you will, between a more nimble and easy to use user experience versus something that is seemingly protecting the customer a little bit more. I know that Bank of America talks about the shared responsibility of security with customers in the security hub that you offer, which is, in my mind, an exceptional experience in of itself. I've talked about it with other banks around the world. But to that point, how do you see the balance of security in an increasingly fraud riddled landscape? How do you see the balance of security in the Bank of America experience evolving from where you're at now into the years ahead?
Yeah, it continues to be, as you mentioned, a shared responsibility. On the one hand, we think we have one of the finest kind of internal security teams really watching out for our clients day in and day out, and they're working tirelessly in the background, making sure that everything remains safe and secure. Back to the notion of trust in banking or banking is based on trust. So that will always continue, right? We have, again, a top-notch team that's just working in the background, making sure everything stays safe. But at the same time, right, we want to make sure it's a partnership with our clients. You mentioned Security Center. That's an area that we continue to invest heavily, not just in providing additional content and education and making sure our clients are aware of, like, hey, here's the latest scams, or here's the latest threats that are out there just for you to be aware, because we do want to strike that balance with reducing friction. We want to make sure that for clients it's easy to transact, and when it's them, it has a low barrier to execution. But at the same time, whenever there's a suspicious behavior or a behavior that we consider less than natural, we want to be able to flag that for our clients and for them to be aware that we're doing this to make sure that their account is safe and secure. And Security Center, again, it's just going to continue to be one of the areas where we continue to invest preemptively, right? To feed information, to feed education to our clients, but also to let them customize, right, how they want to interact with the bank when it comes to security topics.
And you touch on education. It's, again, a growing importance in our user experiences and the way that we take customers on a journey of learning around how they can protect themselves, how they can manage their money and the like. How do you see education building transparency and trust in the current Bank of America experience?
Yeah, so education key, and it's not just on the security side with Security Center. This is an area where we've invested over the years, our better money habits property, really trying to help clients navigate just broader financial questions, right? So again, I think that's another area of continued growth and engagement that we're seeing clients asking more and more questions about. Once I've gotten the basics down, what else are we doing? And connecting it back to our conversation on AI and emerging topics, you see that demand from clients and trying to learn more, become more educated, and see what options are in front of them. So we want to continue to provide those kind of resources at their fingertips, right, from a trusted provider.
Yeah, and so in that vein, again, I suppose, putting the resources in the hands of the customer, we're seeing control and empowerment really being pushed upstream more and more and more in the digital user experience. Customers are being equipped with what I would call a broadening toolkit of enablement to help them protect themselves and create environments and dynamics around risk that they are comfortable with. What do you see as the future of that kind of landscape, pushing that empowerment and control upstream? Do you see particular areas of the user experience or focal points in the customer experience that you think that there's a greater opportunity?
And this is not just secure, I think more broadly, continuing to provide our clients with opportunities for personalization, customization. I always go back to one of my favorite examples that I use with my product team. Like back in the 1940s, the US Air Force kind of commissioned a study to understand, like, hey, our pilots in the Air Force seem to be underperforming. And they realized that they were building cockpits based on the average measurement of their pilots, average height, width, arm length. And it turned out that not a single airman fit that average description, right? So when we're building digital solutions, that's our takeaway. It's like you can't build for the average when you're talking about 60 million people, right? We need to build in this ability to customize and personalize the experience to each unique individual, because some people are going to be much more eager to consume that content or to consume that education. Some folks will be more hands-off. We want to be able to have that flexibility in that every single digital experience and touch point with Bank of America is tailored to that person. And again, that's where we see the power of something like AI and AI agents really being able to deliver on that vision, right? Like tailored down to the individual and to the individual client, and not just to a subsegment.
Yeah. You've gone back almost 100 years. I'm going to ask you to go forward a few years. If you were looking into the future and trying to predict what it is that you think is really going to differentiate banks from each other, a brand and a bank like Bank of America from its peers, in the next, say, 5 or so years, what would you see as the key areas for differentiation and really standout experiences for Bank of America in the landscape and the time frame ahead?
Yeah, so I think one we've always identified is like being able to provide more of this high-tech self-service set of capabilities. Like anything that you want to do with the bank, you should be able to do it yourself if you so choose to, right? There's obviously some exceptions here and there, but for the most part, that's a guiding principle. The caveat to that is at Bank of America, we always want to provide you with the high touch off ramp, right? Like you want to talk to a human being, you want to talk to us on the phone or via chat or in person. We want to be able to offer you that. So that's, I think, one big differentiator, using the power of the scale of Bank of America to offer you that choice as a client. So that's number one for sure. Number two, we refer to the notion of the full financial picture. It's like, how do I bring all of my different relationships, a single view, and have some sort of insight through an agent like Erica that can really tell me, hey, here's your full financial picture. What is happening? How can we work together to make this better, right? And then number three, the notion of, again, do it for me instead of do it myself. So is somebody working in the background on my behalf, watching out for things that I need to be aware of, so that I can then take action. It's not just reactive of like, what do you want to do? It's like, hey, here's a set of options or opportunities that we can engage in. So I think the combination of those three factors really is going to determine like what that financial institution of the future really looks like. Okay,
and in that same frame of thinking, what do you see, if any, of the technology shifts, behavioral shifts, experience, expectation shifts that we've seen in, say, the last 3 to 5 years? Do you see anything that's really not being addressed as best it could right now in the banking industry more broadly? Do you see that there are opportunities or even areas that we're overlooking as an industry in those areas of shift and change that we need to get better at addressing or look for ways to better reflect the customer experience back to that?
I think there's always opportunities and in continuing investment in digital experiences. At the same time, I think clients, when we look at a firm like Bank of America, where we serve 60 million people, it's a wide set of customers with very diverse perspectives. They're at different places in the wealth spectrum. And they're going to be at different places in terms of like their willingness to adopt some of this emerging technology, right? So again, as an industry, as I mentioned, we want to continue to move forward in terms of themes of security, of self-service, of preempting client need. But at the same time, we have to be very, very aware of what is the pace at which clients want to move. Some people, we're out here in Silicon Valley, and they're going to want to be maybe at the cutting edge of technology tools, versus some folks might not be as comfortable with that. So how do we as an industry offer those opportunities to make sure that whatever client we're serving is comfortable with the mix of high tech or high touch that we're offering, and that it works for them?
Fantastic. Jorge Camargo, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and wish you and the Bank of America team all the very best for the shifting technological landscape in the years ahead. Thanks again.
Fantastic. Thank you again for your time. A pleasure to be on.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.